a discrepancy that needs to be fixed. This is an issue.
So, to answer that question, there are various discrepancies in the budget at this point currently.
Right.
Various discrepancies. Again, that's why I made a very clear statement that this is an extremely rough draft of the budget. Okay? Because of our financial situation, what we're going through, it's very difficult to rapidly put forth a budget that's perfect. And we experienced this in December of last year. Okay?
That wasn't presented
Exactly.
to the board.
Okay?
It was told not to be presented.
The thing is, my thing is I've always advocated since I've been here and it's going on 7 months.
Keep it real.
I'm going to provide factual figures. I'm not going to provide a fictitious budget. I understand what you're saying, Madam Chairwoman. I know the numbers are not accurate. I have spoken to the department heads. We're aware of what needs to be done. There needs to be changes as far as capital planning. There is some other changes that need to be made. There's some budgetary adjustments in regards to salaries that need to be bumped up or adjusted. There's some calculations that are wrong, number one, in the financial management system that are not going to be up to date until first we get 16 done, and second we get proper accounting and bookkeepers to come in here to properly do our books. So those are a lot of things that we're looking for at this point as well.
And all those things represent increases right now. We
Understood.
already got a big gap and we're going to add more.
Well, that's what I'm saying. We shouldn't be saying it and putting it in those terms until we get a proper account.
Right.
Because that sends a panic that we got to run out here and cut offices. You know, I identified 3.3, almost $3.4 million worth of stuff that doesn't have offsetting revenues. That, you know, it's got nothing to do with the departments. You know, this is, you know, that we need to look at and see if it's not added in here properly. You know.
And it says,
Okay.
But
So
you
you
know,
saying
when I'm
we're
jumping
missing
ahead
some
here,
revenue?
we've got other people who need to make presentations. So
Missing revenue or we have incorrect
it's
expenditure?
expensive, it's expense,
Okay.
without
I
having
definitely
proper
need to see
offsetting
that.
revenue. At least I haven't seen the offsetting revenue. I found, you know, I said that before, and what I'm looking at is it's still here. And it distorts our perception of really what the numbers are. And I don't know that it's tied to a cash flow projection that, you know, that we need to take a hard look at as part of the refinancing of some of our debt. So, you know, but I don't want to send a panic out here. You know, when this airs, that people think we got a $3 million gap in the budget when we may not really have that, because it's still rough. We're still working on it.
Please go ahead.
Okay, good evening, everybody.
You got a hard show to follow. Come on.
I see. Okay, we too are trying to maintain and to move forward. We are trying to increase some of the officers. We'll be increasing our department by 2, which was actually budgeted the previous year from last year. We have one that has already started, and we're hoping to bring another one on. So that I know was a big concern, you know, with a lot of the residents. As far as operations, how that will affect our operations, currently we have, because of our deficit of the officers, the lack of officers that we had, we actually moved our investigators. So our investigators will be working dual purpose. They're actually working the street and doing their investigations. They're no longer dedicated to investigations. Right now, this will bring our minimum staffing, will definitely increase. Well, no, let me rephrase that. Our minimum staffing will be maintained and will stay the same. However, there will be more officers on each shift. Also, we're hoping to bring some part-timers on to help augment the full-time staff. And with that comes the need for vehicles and our aging vehicles also, the maintenance with that. We've been working with Public Works, working with Manager Pate to make sure that we're, you know, keeping a close eye on how that, you know, is progressing. Although it's very difficult, it's very challenging, I will say that, because the vehicles are older and we have numerous people driving the vehicles. Oh, sorry. Okay, The salaries have basically been included, or the amounts for the settling of this prior contract were, those figures have been included in here. Although this is rough, the salary part won't change. We're hoping to do a lot of changes as far as insurance and any of our capital projects that we're hoping to do are basically to maintain the structure that we have over here currently. We want to make sure that we keep its value, keep it updated and so forth, but nothing super major. All of our equipment and everything, for the most part, we've taken care of this year. So our biggest purchases this year, I foresee are the vehicles. And collectively, like Manager Pate was saying, we are hoping to work on, a project where we know exactly how many vehicles we need within the village for all of the departments, and then we can divvy up which vehicles are needed for each department. That's basically it. I mean, besides the major things that we're supposed to do for the whole village, that will probably help us financially.
And Deputy Chief Wilson, thank you for stepping up. Recently promoted my commander, now Deputy Chief, stepping up to the plate in dealing with this budgetary situation. She's always worked in the background on this extensively, now standing up front, and I'm really appreciative of her efforts. What's noteworthy about the police department is, when we did these layoffs in 2016, when we reduced law enforcement staffing, overtime almost doubled. So when we're looking at the budgetary pitfall that the village put itself in as far as staffing and personnel costs, it was astronomical. This was expressed, this was begged, basically saying, hey, we do these staffing reductions. Yes, it's a reduction in manpower. Yeah, we're not paying benefits, but overtime's quadrupled.
That's right.
I mean, over the last 2 years. So when we're talking about adding personnel, I want the board to understand, when we add personnel, we're offsetting overtime. When we offset overtime, personnel costs go down, not up. This is why adding these additional one police officer now, another police officer hopefully coming on this year will help that. We're also being creative and augmenting police staffing with part-time police officers to put more officers on the street. Last year, I would tell you, it was a very stressful year for myself, I think, as well as Commander Wilson, now Deputy Chief Wilson. We had 4 homicides last year. It's an unheard of number in University Park. A part of that is because of ongoing issues of influx, of gentrification, and various other issues we're having in the village. Another issue was, in my opinion, the public and others were putting out that we had no police officers on the street. We had no manpower. We had officers working doubles every day, 18-hour shifts every day after the layoff. So I want to make that very noteworthy. So in this budget year, the police department it needs an increase in manpower. Number one, for the protection of the village. Public safety should come first, I think, to everybody's point of view. And secondly, to offset the amount of overtime that's spent yearly within the police department.
Mayor.
Yes, sir.
I wonder if we could put together kind of a separate model, Manager Pate, to reflect some of the things that the board has talked about and wants to do, like crime-free housing. So that could be just a separate module to say, well, if we do that, this is what it's going to cost, and let's see how that fits or doesn't fit in the budget, or where it would fit downstream. The same thing with the bus service that we talked about. Let's get that fully costed out and see if that'll fit in the budget or not fit in the budget, or downstream as part of our planning, whether that, it makes sense to do that. And if there are any other kinds of things that, we would like to do as a board, to have them as a separate model that, we could just maybe fold into the budget should, the finances allow.
Understandable. And when we do these budget presentations, just for clarification, As the trustee said, we are looking for the board to provide guidance as far as priorities. I could sit here and do a presentation on every single line item that we have in the budget. If there's certain line items that the board wants us to focus on a little bit more as far as doing a formalized presentation, we'll be more than willing to do that. You spoke on crime-free housing. I believe Trustee Wilson wants to see a comparison of overtime that we spend with the number of personnel compared to the personnel we're bringing on. Not a problem, we get that done. We just need those specific requests from the board. If we don't, then we're gonna stick with the typical budgetary process of explaining figures without separate presentations for specific areas. Crime-free housing was brought up. That's a situation that has to be workshopped. Personnel manning comparable numbers from 2015, prior to 2015, and going forward. That's a specific request. We can do a separate document on that. But the board has to express those questions so we know what we need to do, again, to supplement and augment the budget. That would be a supplemental kind of attachment that will be placed with the budgetary documentation, not something that's a mandatory requirement. So please let us know and we'll do those things.
All right.
Madam Mayor, be recognized.
Sure.
Just want to, Chief and Deputy Chief, just kind of want to go over, I see in the budget go, and I know you said this was a rough draft. I did, and I think, Chief, I don't know if I said it at the last board meeting, but I did walk to the back of the station, and those vehicles were horrible. I see $55,000 budgeted inside here for the vehicles. As an officer, I will say I experienced both bad vehicles and new vehicles. The worst one, again, and I think I told the story, in 1997, I was driving a 93 Ford with one working light on and a hole in the bottom. And
It wasn't here.
right, it wasn't here, it was in Harvey. For the record, it was in Harvey. And I don't want our officers to be in that position, and the rate that we're going in the way that I really admire this board of how we're getting our finances together. If we can take and utilize that, if $55,000 is what we're supposed to spend, if we're gonna lease the cars, I'm gonna piggyback with Trustee Milton Payton. If we can somehow have a plan, and I'm sorry, even though Harvey been in the newspaper lately for whatever they did, one thing I would say them and Country Club Hills do, every single year, they purchase 7 vehicles, Harvey does, take them and rotate them. If we can find that plan and do it and stick with it, and whatever vehicles are left, I don't care what we do with it. I've seen guys who were policemen who purchased the old vehicles. If we can just strip the lights off, because I know they work, strip the lights off, put them on the new lease vehicles, and keep a rotation of them, we need that plan. Because I've seen I don't know, we can go back there right now, those 2 Crown Vics, I think they're 07s, because the first 2 numbers on the vehicle marks the year of the vehicle, sitting on flats behind our station. That's embarrassing. So if we can do that, that would be greatly appreciated. Next one, I see $30,000 towards and this is to address, and I think you touched on it already, Chief. Being the former chairman of the Police and Fire Commission, I didn't know about this until Trustee Paula Wilson was on TV saying officers were laid off. This hit me, punched me right in the stomach. But the salary is for 4 officers. That's how much overtime is. And I just want the public to know, it's always going to be overtime with policemen due to arrests. So definitely, I know we hired 2, but if going with the part-timers, I just want the board to know that we are at that point that what little salary that we did leave or that was spent, that the board take in consideration that we probably need to hire more part-timers. And Chief, again, if you can budget that, and I'm just asking if we can possibly stretch it, and the Finance Committee understand that it has been beneficial. And I went on a website before yesterday and seen the crime rate for property damage in University Park is going up, and that's not good. But if we have the cars and the bodies patrolling, And I'm asking for us to really concentrate on this, that we, the village, definitely will be a safer place, and these statistics that's out on the internet about University Park will go down. I also look through here, I don't see these SRO, but Chief, I know that's a positive thing, because you and I will be talking to the school. But I want the finance committee to understand, and the board, in this situation, let's look for the bargain that if we do hire an officer, or we do send an officer to the school, that they at least pay half that salary of the officer, or the full salary. Because right now, what does it matter? They get 8.5% of the taxes that the public is paying. So I know we're paying a lot for the school, but if we can add that into the budget, I know I see community policing, I know that Trustee Brown wanted crime-free housing, but right now I think we need to take priority of heavy patrol as well as youth in the school. So a juvenile officer and an SRO, if we can put it slash and put it in the budget as another body that can do it full-time. If I did the job, both of it, I think someone else can do it. So, Mayor, I'm gonna yield my time back, but those 2 points that I really wanna make, if we can really concentrate on it, Chief, and I know how important and I know how much we're spending the money, but if we don't get to that point, we're gonna be in the same condition again and having the same conversation next April.
Okay. Thank you. That's it.
Public Works.
Okay.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm going to be real short
Thank you.
versus Manager Pate. This is my budget on 2 sheets now. My budget will reflect, this is a rough draft. I just want to project that I put in, we're working on our capital projects, updating our 5-year road plan with Robinson Engineers. My budget also will reflect the upgrade in personnel for Public Works. We are now on a 7-man rotation, 7-man crew. We are short bodies, but this will reflect us back to our working number so we can manage for the residents of University Park. And also our hot boxes should be here in 2 weeks. We started potholes today.
Do we have a plan?
Do we have a plan? Yes, we do have a plan.
I could expect a copy in the email.
Well,
No.
Trustee Wilson, yes, Manager Pate has the first draft of it. It has the pictures, it has everything. It's based on our sections of town, the way we operate as Public Works. We work in a sector. With 7 people, we can only do potholes once right now a week, coming up to summer with lawn maintenance and grass and everything. And Mayor, if you have any questions, I will gladly answer all the questions if you have them, but until then, thank you very much.
Yes, I do. Of the plan,
Yes, ma'am.
I have shared, and I'll say it again, shared this soft term and hard term, a paper, which I don't like, of a project. Project trees, project potholes, project dates, time, when you're gonna get it done, when we get it done, how many people it take to get it done, the cost of it, implementation, done. Next project. That's what I would really like to see
I
in
will
the
see your
priority.
paper, yes.
I know.
Yes, ma'am.
And the priority of that. I know Elmhurst is really, really hard. And I want to know how we're going to prioritize the streets and the holes once we get the hot box. And how we're going to do that. And I want, like, you promised me, tulips. I'd like to see this village beautiful. And I would like to see, I'm not sure if you make the signs, but I would like to see some signs that said, make University Park beautiful. Clean University Park. Keep University Park clean. I'd like to see some signs like that. And I hope that we do, I know the mosquito embankment, I don't know how that is, and I'm looking at Ms. Martin and Mr. Martin, of the pools, if we could clean those nasty things, those ponds out there in the various areas, I think we have 2 or 3 in the village. That would kind of eliminate some of the mosquito issues that we have. And I don't want to hear any emails or phone calls from them telling me that no one's over there cleaning those ponds. Whatever we need to get those done, I would appreciate that we prioritize that as well. I think that would cut back on our mosquitoes. But the tulips at the signs repaired, the signs are lit up. Whatever we need to do, I'll do whatever I can. Let me know how I can help you with finding grants and funds, and we can do that up here as a whole, the board. Anything we can find, grants we can apply for, it's a lot with Department of Agriculture when it comes to public works. So whatever we can do, whatever I can do to help, let me know.
Thank you, man. And your flowers are in.
Oh,
We've done the beds, but unfortunately, it's still snowing.
yeah, unfortunately. But if we put them down, they'll pop back up.
They will,
Here.
yes, sir.
So yeah, start putting them down so they'll pop up. I want to see Beautification in University Park. But those signs, seriously, keep University Park clean, because I know your guys went over by my area. I know that's a protected area. It was a dump. It looked like someone rehabbed a house and put all the panels and stacked them up and threw them over there. It was horrible, and garbage, and it looked like a dump. These people are not paying their garbage bills or whatever. I don't know what's going on. But the police officers had an agreement. Go in there, tear the bags, get a name, send them a fine. Because people are taking these trash bags all around. Now, I'm gonna ask you something. I know your guys clean up. When they put bags out, do they tag them so we'll know that you clean that area, you're gonna come back and pick up the bag? I know the state or county has orange bags. And I know that they're coming back to get those, but when
We take
do it
ours with us.
immediately?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So we need to look at those other mysterious bags that's being dropped around the village as well. Thank you.
You know, I'm asked 3 letters.
Okay.
GPS, I don't see it in the budget. I know we said it was gonna be about 5,000. For the police and in public works. Chief.
So as far as the police department is concerned, Daryl's working on getting the equipment up. Now,
For the GPS.
yeah, for GPS, I'm gonna be very realistic with you. The village IT infrastructure was in horrible disarray. The village received a $30,000 grant last
I
year
remember that.
in regards to IT upgrades and various other equipment upgrades in the police department. All those have been fulfilled. Now that role has been, that torch has been proudly handed off to the IT director, because we have the equipment that can do the work. The police department will no longer be taking the fall for equipment not working in vehicles, especially IT-related equipment.
Okay.
So Director Bolton, I spoke to him. The deputy chief has had a conversation with him. There's a timeline to get it up. If it can't be up, then we'll bring somebody else in to bring it up. So that's where we're at.
So when will Deputy Chief Wilson be able to sit in her car, turn on that computer and see how long an officer had either been idling or patrolling?
Deputy Chief Wilson, do you want to answer that question?
We're actually scheduled to go back to, we're close to having it hooked up now. We just
Okay,
have to program each car now,
okay,
and we're scheduled to work on that on Friday.
okay. Gary, how long will it be before we know where your truck's at? Are they hiding out in industrial park, or are they out here making our park beautiful, or a parkway? How long will it be for your trucks?
Again, this is a rough draft, so we will include, we've been meeting with the company, so
Okay.
we have the numbers.
And trustee, and this is really.
And his truck marked. Identified. Okay, director's truck?
Sure.
Okay.
That's what you would like.
Yes, we have, I want them to know that that you're there working for them. I want them to say, oh, Public Works guy was there, the chief was there. I need to see that. Because those are our properties and they should be identified. I've asked that a long time ago.
Yeah, so how long will that be before Public Works we can?
I'm just making sure we find a company that's not going to rip us off. The issue is the companies that we've talked to have provided exorbitant amount of prices for equipment and then the monitoring for that equipment. So in saying that, trustee, I will assure you that in this budget year, that will be incorporated and done. As far as the timeline of implementation, I would be lying to you if I give you a timeline, but I will tell you we'll work on it in the next 90 days to make sure it's established for the public works trust. It's a little bit different. The police hardware, the computers can be set up to activate GPS. The cameras can be activated to do GPS. So they have a lot of the technology in their vehicles already that can be GPS activated. It's different because of the age of his fleet. We have to do a lot of retrofitting because of the equipment that he currently has to get the GPS done in his vehicles. And that's where the cost vary. Police department has equipment that can do it already. He doesn't. So that's what we're looking at.
And lastly, am I correct? They switched from flip phones to the phones that you can key up, right? Walkie-talkie type of
So
cell
they
phones.
have flip phones, but they have walkie-talkie feature as well, and GPS it can be activated
Right,
on
on the
the phones as well.
Right.
So we won't be going to no radios. That would be our choice of communication and it's budgeted for.
No, we're still gonna put radios in the vehicles from the old radios that we have from both the police and I believe some fire. If not, I think mostly, both police and fire have donated radios from their older equipment that can be transferred over to public works. The reason for that is redundancy. So we want to be able to have communication in the vehicle. I don't need the drivers to be picking up their phones in the vehicle and keying up necessarily while they're
Being on the
driving.
poles with the meter.
Yeah, so.
Right. Okay.
Okay,
My
so-
apology to the finance committee. It's one of those important things I know we spoke about, and I wanted to make sure that I know that trustees want to make promises, but also we need accountability at a low cost.
And I know we just turned over, just to let the finance committee know, we did convert our telephones. They're no longer, they were like 100 and some phones or 90 some phones. So we're down, we went with another provider, and no one should have a telephone that's a worker. You can contact a worker with a flip phone or a walkie-talkie. I didn't understand it, did not agree with it, that they had BlackBerries. You no longer have that. That's going to cost our cost tremendously. Those phones are gone. So just mandatory people that have, staff, service staff people, because that was just too much of an expense. We did that a year ago, and then somehow it came back to them. So we took them back again. So we have another provider. It's a lot cheaper, and they'll just have this. I don't see a person, everybody having a BlackBerry. It's not necessary. So those are good. Okay, because they were all over Florida and everywhere else. So we did find that. Yeah.
We got a couple of questions. One, I think it's a good idea, Mayor, you mentioned about having the signs around. I think that's really going to send positive reinforcement messages about keeping the village clean and beautiful. I love that idea. And I wanted to say also, Gary, I noticed that your budget had the lease increase. Hey. I know you still got stuff to bring in there, but I'm just applauding that when I see it. I did want to ask the board, I know that, we talked about mostly expenditures tonight or stuff that we're going to add to the budget. Have you all had any discussions on some ways that we'll be bringing more revenue? Because the revenue list is real short, and I was just wondering if that was something that anybody was expanding on during this period.
The truck enforcement, I know, is one that I talked to the chief with, and I think all officers, am I correct, to know that they're all supposed to be trained? Because trustee was in my office, Bill Brooks was in my office Friday, and so I've started tallying all the trucks that I see. And correct me, how much do we get per truck? 750? Okay, the ticket is 750 times, how many did we count? 12? 12 Friday, they passed my office. So I'm going to start doing it when I'm in my office and see at the end of the month, do we have that much money? Because that's a great revenue generator, and they're tearing our streets up, these big semis.
What you have to realize, though, that we have an agreement
Yeah, I know.
with this trucking company down here that they pay a certain amount.
But that's also with the fact
so
that,
they don't consider that we're harassing them
Right.
every time they come through.
yeah, this guy was holding, well, we do understand that agreement, an agreement, this guy came in front of my office, turned around, made a U-turn, and then came back in the other one. The chief and I were coming from an event, and he was hauling cars. So we understand they have to be empty. That's the agreement, because I know this company here repairs the trucks. So we understand that to a point. You know, what you're saying, Trustee Middleton Payton, but the other ones, no. They have to check them, stop them and check them, see if they fit with that agreement. If they don't, that's $750, $700, whatever.
So let me answer the Finance Committee's question, or the Chairwoman's question in regards to cuts and future plans in regards to obtaining revenues. First, the board, nor myself, nor can you all, I can't give you all accurate information until our proper accounting is done. Until our accounting system is stabilized, information is entered, then I can see where the shortfall at and where we're looking at. Secondly, the issue is, if you look at the budget last year, I believe we were at $2.2 million. We were paying $1.5 million in bond debt a year, okay? The issue is refinancing the bond debt and moving it out 7 years until TIF 5 closes and obtaining the revenues from TIF 5. What I'm trying to do at this point, I'm going to be very direct with you all, is first do a stopgap to deal with the funding and the cash flow issue. That stopgap is at least getting 2016 audit done, work on getting 2017 done, getting a tax anticipation warrant that will be payable in the next tax year. But in retrospect and looking at that, getting our audits up to date by December of this year, hopefully doing a bond issue that's large enough that will soak up the money either from the tax anticipation warrant, where we're not getting hit from the tax revenue come the payable tax revenue in May, or dealing with the tax revenue coming out or taxable revenue coming in. Secondly, when we restructure this bond debt, that restructures the levy that we have on the bond debt. I can request the board to transfer the amount being levied for the bond debt and move that over to the capital fund, the general fund that's coming in. Number one, that transfers the money that is going towards bond debt into the general fund. Secondly, that shows the residents not having a tax increase, but we're actually getting more revenue in the coffers from refinancing the bond. Even though we have bond issues that we have, one is expiring in last payment in December of 18, the other two expiring in the next 2 years, the village is not going to be able to substantiate to make those bond payments. So my plan is to refinance those bonds, reissue them, get new money, number one, to deal with the road projects and the capital improvements that the residents have been asking for, cutting down dead trees, planting new trees, these $3 to $4 million required to do these road projects and get new money in to do these road projects. Secondly, look at extending the bond debt, do refinance through the 7-year mark when TIF 5 closes, and dropping the tax rate for the residents at the 7-year mark. And when that TIF closes, that new money coming into the tax coffers.